illicit financial flows, and illegal use of public resources. And on this, together with other partners, we did some time back, filed a petition challenging the Parliament's rejection on IBC regulation on campaign financing. That said, we do appreciate the role that the different players and stakeholders continues to play in promotion of good governance, including efforts by state that helps us get the best of the leaders, and we call upon you to give Kenyans an opportunity to have a fair representation by leaders of integrity as provided for under Chapter 6. We must learn from our past indiscipline in mismanagement of public resources that has in a big way led to the recent Gen Z-led protest. And for this, we must be keen not to further erode public trust. We must also appreciate the place and role of young people in politics and democratic processes as a cornerstone of any democracy. Lastly, we congratulate the ORP for their efforts to promote good governance through the launch of this manual and call upon them to continue being advocates of the constitutional provisions to safeguard the operation of political parties and to the greater extent, democracy and good governance. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Komu, the first speaker, usually has the advantage, but subsequently we will not enjoy that advantage. It's already been consumed. So I just want to inform us that ORPP is on social platforms, and I'm informed that we are live on YouTube, so you can check there, and you can also share our handles, our address, so that others can also join, so that we can celebrate this event together. I just want to say this. I have had a coded language which was not very effective. When you see me standing there, note that you have 1 minute to go. It's not good to disrupt a grown-up in Kenya. So when you see me walking from there, unajua kuna dakika mo? Thank you so much. And now we move on to our next speaker. And our next speaker comes from the Election Observation Group, ELOG. And representing ELOG with us today and to give the speech on behalf of ELOG is Mr. Eustace Kinyua. A round of applause for Mr. Kinyua as he comes forward. Thank you, Mr. Kinyua. You have 3 minutes.
Good morning, everyone. All protocol observed. I don't want to go through the list because my time will be consumed. Today, in front of you is Eustace Kinyua, representing Mule Musau, the National Coordinator for Election Observation Group. And as my predecessor, I will just read Mule's sentiments. Today he could not be with you guys. He is held up somewhere else. He is out of the country, but he would have loved to be here today. So I will read what he shared with me to present during this event. So on behalf of Election Observation Group, ELOG, I would like to underscore the pivotal role that ELOG plays in monitoring and observing the electoral landscape. ELOG firmly believes that transparency is the foundation of trust in the political systems. It plays a vital role in ensuring the credibility of both political parties and the broader democratic process. Our core mandate is to serve as an independent watchdog, ensuring that duty bearers not only adhere to the letter of the law, but also uphold the highest standards of transparency. In doing so, we contribute to strengthening public confidence in Kenya's democratic process. ELOG employs proven methodologies and international standards in observing and ensuring that our findings reflect realities on the ground. These observations are compiled into comprehensive reports and shared with relevant stakeholders, including political parties, regulatory bodies, and the public, to foster accountability. I would like to emphasize the importance of financial and operational transparency in the functioning of political parties. While capacity building plays a role in supporting compliance, ELOG's primary focus remains on rigorous observation and reporting. Through close monitoring of political party practices, we provide the oversight necessary to ensure that our stakeholders are held accountable to high standards. Additionally, the oversight includes tracking and implementation of policies outlined in the new manual, ensuring that the political parties continue to meet their obligation over time. ELOG is committed to maintaining impartiality in our monitoring efforts, ensuring that political parties' processes are observed fairly and equitably. Our work centers on identifying gaps in compliance and offering evidence-based recommendations to enhance transparency and accountability in political party processes. We look forward to collaborating with all stakeholders to ensure that this manual is not only adopted but adhered to through ongoing observation and reporting. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You ambushed me. I was still counting 3 minutes, and that's very good. Thank you so much. We now move on quickly to our next speaker. And our next speaker comes from the Center for Multi-Party Democracy, CMD. And in the house, we have Mr. Frank Mukwanja, a very common face, figure, and voice that you always hear. And let's put our hands together as we welcome Frank. Welcome. 3 minutes for you. Thank you.
Our host, Dr. Ritu, the Registrar of Political Parties, our chief guest, FCPA, Nancy Gathungu, esteemed representatives of political parties, government representatives here, and my colleagues, non-state actors. Good morning. We here, and thank you very much, Registrar, for the collaboration, the partnership, and the invitation to be here with you on this very timely launch of a very important manual, and I think responds adequately to the societal demands that we have had for the time that we've gone through the protests. I think we're here for two critical things. One is transparency, and secondly is accountability. I strongly believe that's what I heard from my good friend Kimulu presenting. Finance, accounting, procurement boils down to those two things, transparency and accountability. And it's important because when political parties are transparent, they build trust with their party members, with voters, and stakeholders. It is also important as a country to comply with our own legal frameworks. We have the PFM Act, we have our Political Parties Act, and these frameworks are very important for the political parties to comply, and it's also very useful that the regulator is considering that. But as well, for political parties, enhancing internal party governance is critical. Parties ought to operate efficiently and ethically, and such manuals help to serve that purpose. It is also essential when we're talking about transparency and accountability in political parties that this will help foster a culture of integrity, which has been a major issue in our country. When you're managing public resources, like the 49 political parties are doing so today, it is important that we safeguard against malpractices like corruption, misuse of funds. We need to prevent fraud. We need to ensure that we are doing clean politics because we are accountable for the public resources that are bestowed on us. I want to assure you, Madam Registrar, that as a non-state actor, we will continuously monitor compliance, help you to uphold the high standards that are required for financial discipline and transparency in the political parties. This manual, as well, goes to improve the capacity of political parties. As a center, we are preoccupied with strengthening the capacity of political parties, and such documents speak to that. That's not just a tool for regulation. It's not just a regulatory tool, but it's an opportunity for the finance experts, accounting experts, procurement experts in your political parties to improve these processes as you manage public resources. Public trust and political integrity are critical when you are talking about political governance. And I think the manual again will lead us as a country to greater confidence in political institutions and democracy as a whole. As CMD, we are happy that when we reached out to the Registrar of Political Parties, the Office of the Auditor General, the National Treasury, we were able to recently work together in training finance directors and auditors in political parties as TOTs, and we're looking for resources so that now they can go down to the party branches and engage the treasurers and all those that have authority to incur expenditure on behalf of the parties and improve their capacity. Let me just mention 2 quick points. One is you have a very low-hanging fruit as political parties. Invest in your SIGs. I think, if I'm not wrong, the registrar's team will confirm that one special interest group seat elected was worth 400, it's currently worth 400,000 shillings. You can imagine. And that is an area that we want to focus in. Get young people elected. Get people with disabilities elected. Get more women elected. That means more money for you. So those are low-hanging fruits. It's an incentive to make sure that we're achieving fair representation, we have gender equality and social inclusion. Political parties provide the highest level of oversight, and it's only fair that you are beyond reproach as Sisa's wife. A government is only as good as the political party that forms it. My parting shot to you is, when we fix political parties, all else will be well. Thank you, and have a good event.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to, at this juncture, appreciate the presence of our friends, the members of the Fourth Estate in the House, and thank you so much for coming in and to cover our event. Everything that we are doing is not visible without the media. We appreciate your presence and recognize the work that you're doing in ensuring that we achieve publicity and that Kenyans get to know what is happening today. Thank you so much. Now, to wrap up the group of our partners in terms of speeches, we'll have National Democratic Institute, NDI, represented by Ms. Jackie Mathenge. Welcome on stage. The floor is yours. A round of applause for her. She comes over. Welcome, my sister.
Thank you, Florence, and I really must thank you because you're the prefect of time, and the speakers before me may have taken a bit more time, but I do hope to stick to the 3 minutes. The chief guest, FCPA, Madam Nancy Gadhungu, the Registrar of Political Parties, Madam Anne Derito, the chairperson of PPLC, Evans Misati, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Jackie Mathenge. I am here on behalf of NDI, and more specifically on behalf of our country director, Dennis Omondi, who extends his apologies for not being able to join us today. NDI is delighted to be part of this forum today because we recognize that it is against the backdrop of the Political Parties Act, specifically sections 23, 25, and 31, and also the PFM Act, which provide the enabling legal environment for ORPP to be able to develop this policy today. Against this backdrop, the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties has been proactive to put in place measures that seek to address gaps relating to financial management of political parties, and we are excited to be part of this process. I think it is no secret in the room that we are currently operating on a trust deficit with the public. And having worked with political parties since the early 1990s, NDI firmly believes that our political parties are not only vehicles through which for political competition, but they're mainly institutions that can bridge the gap between citizens and government. And therefore, the move by ORPP to develop this manual so as to have sound financial management practices within our parties is quite critical at this juncture. Because it not only abides to the legal compliance and regulations of the country, but in so doing, we are seeking to strengthen the public trust of democratic processes in Kenya. NDI strongly commends ORPP for administering the fund and also its ongoing efforts to strengthen the institutional capacity of political parties. I think speakers before me have alluded to this, that political parties are in and of themselves institutions, and so it is important for them to have enhanced oversight mechanisms. We also wish to laud the efforts of the Office of the Auditor General in auditing political parties as prescribed in the Act, and more importantly, working tirelessly to entrench the principles that are contained in Article 10 of our Constitution: transparency, integrity, accountability, and good governance. And those are the bedrocks against which institutions, including political parties, need to be operating. Indeed, for NDI, we see this manual not just as an act of compliance, but also building a way of building the resilience of political institutions with a core mandate to strengthen Kenya's democratic practices through the management of resources transparently and effectively. I am optimistic, and NDI is optimistic, that this manual will serve as a tool for political parties to enhance transparency and accountability. It will also strengthen their institutional capacities, and we implore on political parties through PPLC and even the leadership of the political parties themselves to be able to make this document living in their institutions. As NDI, we remain committed to continuing to support political parties, the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties and PPLC, in realizing political and electoral reforms in Kenya that strengthen our democracy. Thank you very much, and I wish you a lovely day.
Thank you so much. Our first female presenter, I am excited. Now we want to move on, and you realize that I am not making any comment after the speeches because I don't want to say much, I don't want to dilute, I want you to synthesize, absorb, and allow it to sink in your hearts because it's an investment. Thank you so much, and now we want to move on to a very special representative in the House, because we wouldn't be seated here were it not for political parties, isn't it? Yeah, were it not for political parties, even this manual is about political parties. And that's a special group that we really appreciate the effort that they make, the work that they do is not very easy. That's why we have only 90 political parties in Kenya. If it was easy, we would be having 50 million political parties. So we really appreciate the work that they do. And I want to invite on stage the chairman of the PPLC Steering Committee, Mr. Evans Misati. Tumpigie makofi ya kisiasa vizuri. Asante. Hii microphone nakupatia Bwana Misati dakika 5. Najua mwanasiasa na microphone pamba na moto.
Now, Florence, you need to be fair to me. Given that you have said this is a special group, FCPA, Nancy Gathungu, Madam Registrar, the two Deputy Registrars, distinguished guests, and members representing political parties. Good morning. My name is Evans Misati. I represent the political parties as the National Steering Committee Chairperson, that is PPLC. Kindly allow me to introduce, not to introduce, the steering committee members. Just take 1 second and stand, be upstanding. The steering committee members of the PPLC. Just place like this your hand so that the people know that we have a steering committee members. He also did introduce himself. Now, Madam FCPA, I've seen a new introduction today. We usually know Madam CPA Florence. Now there was a new name today, and I was whispering to Keitan here, what is the meaning of F? I've been told already the meaning. So let me also say that we are delighted to be part of this team to launch this Political Parties Finance and Accounts and Procurement Policy and Procedures Manual, as it has been presented by Kimuru very clearly. In fact, it has already answered some of the questions we had for Madam FCPA. The only thing I want to say is that as political parties, we are happy that, Madam Registrar, you have worked with us the journey, but we still have a problem as political parties. One, when we were registered with the same terms as the 90 political parties. But the percentage of sharing the revenue, from the word go, it started being unfair to us. Because like I was asking, the first question I asked when the presentation was done, a party that is getting 600 million shillings and a party that is getting 60,000 shillings, should be the procedure of procurement be the same? That's the first question we're asking. Is it value for money? The other thing I wanted to ask is that the Office of the Auditor General, as political parties, we are tripartite, we are a statutory body as PPLC, Section 38 of the Political Parties Act, where IPC and the Registrar Political Parties, that Madam Registrar, you know, with your success, other sisters tunatandi hapo, we are part of you when we talk about PPLC. Today I've had, during the introductions, there are so many new members who are accountants in the various political parties. Should be aware that PPLC as a dialogue platform, part of our mandate as PPLC is to ensure that the free and fair electoral processes. Then they will not be free and fair when one party has got 600 million and another party has got 60,000. So we must look at the way we can approach and see that the formula, the distribution formula, particularly that percentage which was for admin costs at the political parties, is addressed. The other issue I wanted to bring to your attention, Madam FCPA, is the political parties are actually supporting the Auditor General. But we need more training, capacity building on the political parties on the use of these resources, so that we don't find we have back and forth with your team. We are fighting with your team when they are calling the political parties, so that we have a more structured way. We need a retreat so that we can have a more comprehensive training on capacity building on the members of the political parties. The last thing I want to say now, on behalf of the registered political parties of Kenya, as a Kenyan to the Office of the Auditor General, we want to applaud you, Madam Nancy, because of what you have done to Kenyans. Because most of the things that you have brought to the fore about the audit that you have done, particularly in the counties, the road that you have is only the Office of the Auditor General that has brought it out. And it has been used by the ACC, Senate and Parliament, where without you, it would not have been known to Kenyans. Morara Kebaso is doing all that he's doing because of your office, I'm sure, because of the reports that you have produced. So, members, I want, in a special way, I'm using my time to do that, I'll have done it another time, to applaud this mama, this lady, the Office of the Auditor General, particularly FCPA Nancy Gatungu, applaud her and wish her long life, because she has saved Kenyans in a very special way. If I had time, Madam Registrar just sent this letter the other day. If I had time, I could have gone to Kisii and get you a kiondo as an appreciation. Lastly, I can see Florence wanting to come up. Lastly, as Kenyans, I was asking Madam Nancy about the Office of the Budget. I'm sure they're going to speak after me, the National Treasury. The ones we have the control of budget at the county levels. they approve budgets at the county levels, and then you find something that when Kenyans look at it, they are like, oh, this one went through the Auditor General or through the National Treasury, the representative at the county levels. Let us address that as Kenyans. Lastly, we need, as political parties, to do an amendment to the Political Parties Act so that we change the formula so that each and every political party can get a percentage of the PPF to administer their offices. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Misati. You managed time very well for this particular event. Lakini ukipata microphone kwa podium nyingine, we chapa kazi vile unajua. Now I want to, first of all, recognize the presence of some key representatives that will not have the opportunity to speak, but we want to recognize their presence in the room. We have the CEO of the PPDT, Mr. Kamwati. He's in the house. Please stand up and just wave so that participants can see you. Thank you. I know many of us in this room know Mr. Kamwati. He used to be in IEBC. Now he crossed over. He's in PPDT. We also have the Vice Chair, PPLC, Mr. Chris Kilonzo. When Misati is not there, he's in charge of the steering committee of PPLC. Thank you so much and welcome. We also have from HSF, please forgive me, I will not read the second name because my mother tongue influence will fail me. Mr. Daniel, welcome, we recognize your presence. Thank you so much. We've walked a long journey and we appreciate all the assistance and support that you've continued to give ORPP. And last but not least, we know that the Public Sector Accounting Standard Board will have a speaker, but from the same institute, from the same board, we have Mr. Vincent Ayaya, in the room. Mr. Vincent Ayaya, thank you so much. Welcome. And now I want to call on stage the representative of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. And in the room, we have the Deputy Commission Secretary, Mr. Obadiah. Thank you so much for making time and representing the Commission. Tunajua ako na ya kutuambia. The floor is yours. We'll still give you 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, but I'll take only 3 minutes. Our chief guest, the Auditor General, Madam FCPA Nancy Kadungu, the Registrar of Political Parties, Dr. Nancy Nderetu, the Chairperson of the Political Parties Liaison Committee, the Vice Chairperson, and the Steering Committee, the Assistant Registrars, all political leaders present, and political parties. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Firstly, let me take this opportunity to appreciate the Registrar of Political Parties for organizing this meeting in which you are launching these particular manuals. The Commission wishes to identify itself with this milestone by the Registrar of Political Parties of developing the manuals which will guide the political parties in preparing their financial statements. We note that these are important governance documents which will go a long way in promoting the principles of public finance, of openness and accountability as enshrined in Article 201 of the Constitution of Kenya. We all know that political parties rely on financing either from government or private donations. Section 25 of the Political Parties Act establishes the Political Parties Fund. The rationale behind the public financing of political parties is the fact that they play a crucial role in promoting democracy. And that's why we need strong political parties. And I agree with Brother Evans Misati that if it is possible, we fund all the political parties so that we expand the political space. Political parties play a very important role. For example, if we were to transition, say, to proportional representation, the political parties will make a very strong contribution in terms of democracy. They need to have very strong internal democracy because direct participation and voting will occur within political parties, and thereafter they will occur within the party lists. If we were to do that, we'll cure a lot of problems that we currently have, such as not meeting the two-thirds gender rule. I was recently in Rwanda to monitor their elections. And what they have there is for the presidential election, it is like Kenya first past the post, but with simple majority. But for members of parliament, it is proportional representation. You vote for the party lists. So for them to country, we need only 80 MPs. 53 are voted through the party list. They are elected through the party list. 24 are reserved for women, and they are elected in women caucuses. So for them, there is no need for top-up the way we are struggling in Kenya. When we have a lot of top-up like we do in the MCAs, we end up having too many representatives, and it is very costly to the country. So those are some of the issues in which we can borrow to be able to cure all these problems that we have. Now, openness and transparency in the use of funds will in turn promote the objectives of the Political Parties Fund as set out under Section 27 of Political Parties Act 2011. As there is need to strengthen political parties' finance system to make them more transparent, accountable, responsive, to increase citizens' trust in their political processes and thus further strengthen democratic space in the country. The manual set to be launched today will provide the needed guidelines to political parties in their financial and procurement processes. It will standardize and simplify operating routines and make it easier to prepare accurate financial statement. Accurate financial statement will lessen work of the Auditor General. Auditing enhances the degree of confidence in the financial statement among the stakeholders, especially if you are lucky to receive unqualified audit opinion from the Auditor General. I'm saying if you are lucky, because every year, as a commission, we have been resolving that this year. It is our year to get unqualified audit report from the Auditor General. But we have not been lucky. We hope very soon you'll find favor in giving us a qualified opinion. I don't know, Registrar, whether you have been able to get one. It has been very difficult for us. And all those political parties, I hope you endeavor to get an unmodified audit opinion, because it will build trust in your processes and your stakeholders. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, I was to inform you that during the last general election, we casted regulations for campaign finance. When we casted those regulations for campaign finance, the MPs called us, and they really quarreled us because they don't want their finances to be regulated, and they subsequently quashed the campaign finance regulations. Now, when they quashed, we are happy that Transparency International went to court to point out the conflict of interest inherent in the MPs questioning what we wanted to do. Now, we had a favorable ruling from the court. They said there is inherent conflict of interest by MPs, so they will not pass that. So they said what the commission should do: develop regulations, put it to public participation, and new gazette. So with the help of Transparency International, we now have the regulations, we shall go to the next stage of subjecting to public participation. And then when the commission has come, we'll gazette them. So that at least we have some rules in terms of campaign finance. So with those many remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking forward to productive and fruitful deliberations. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana.
Thank you so much, Mr. Obadiah, the DCS, on behalf of IEBC. And now we have a moment with a representative of a very critical entity in the subject matter that we are here for today. But we will allow her to just make her speech because we are going to have the next session where we'll have an in-depth discussion after we are done with the first part. So I'm going to invite the CEO of the Public Sector Accounting Standards Boards, the only board in Kenya that is mandated to set the acceptable accounting and financial standards for the public sector, and the public sector includes anybody who receives public funds. Welcome, Madam CPA Georgina Mushai. Welcome on stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CPA Florence. Good morning, everybody. Our chief guest, FCPA Nancy Gadhungu, Registrar of Political Parties, Dr. Andy Ritu, political parties leadership represented in the room, the PPLC chair, Bwana Evans, all protocols observed. Good morning once again. PSSB is delighted to have been invited to this very good occasion where we are launching manual and the finance and procurement manual for the political parties. The Constitution 2010, Article 201, sets out the principles of public finance. These include transparency, accountability, equitable share of public resources, public participation, and clear fiscal reporting, among others. These principles are further expounded in the PFM Act, which establishes the Public Sector Accounting Standards Board under sections 192 to 195, with a mandate to prescribe or set generally accepted accounting standards and internal audit standards in the public sector. The vision of the Public Sector Accounting Standards Board is a transparent and an accountable public sector. And I think we have spoken to a very large extent about transparency and accountability. PSSB is also responsible, among other functions, to develop financial reporting templates to public sector entities, and these particular templates facilitate the work of the Office of the Auditor General when they are doing their work of oversight. We also do develop implementation guidelines to ensure that entities are able to implement the standards prescribed. We also prescribe minimum standards of maintenance of books of accounts, as well as sensitize, publish, and publicize any directives that we have been able to push out. We take this opportunity as PSSB to congratulate the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties for this great step towards enhancing accountability of political parties, which also receive public monies, including what is received from the Political Parties Fund, as well as what is collected from your membership, because that forms part of the public funds. We are very much delighted in knowing that the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties is very keen on financial reporting and excellence on the same. And I say this because Dr. Ann, you may not be aware, but we run something called the Financial Reporting Excellence Award, alongside ISPAC, CMA, NSC, and RBA. And I take this opportunity to mention that the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties has been a winner of that particular award for quite a number of years. That means that we are now believing that you will extend that excellence to the political parties and we can have that accountability and transparency. So as PSSB, we are ready to walk this journey with you in the implementation, especially on matters relating to financial reporting, including sensitization for the financial reporting templates that we produce, which enable you to report and submit financial statements to the Office of the Auditor General, as well as offer training in terms of accountability and transparency for the funds that are allocated to you. I take this opportunity once again to congratulate you and wish you a lovely event. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And now, finally, I would want to invite on stage the representative of National Treasury, my fellow colleague in the profession, CPA Okal. A round of applause for him as he comes.
Thank you so much, CPA Florence, for that. The guest of honor, CPA, FCPA Nancy, Registrar Political Parties, Dr. Ann Deritu, all protocol observed. My name is CPA Okal from National Treasury, here representing our director, FCPA Bernard Ndungu. Allow me, now that CEO has spoken and she has literally mentioned most of the things that I was going to mention. Allow me just to mention a few things that I would have liked to bring to your attention, and really had presented a robust manual, which again goes a long way in highlighting how best we can comply with the PFM Act. Many speakers have spoken, and basically what they were highlighting is prudent financial management. And indeed, as CEO has also mentioned, we take a lot of pride in is political parties, because we are judged by the clean audit report that you give us. However, we've also noted sometimes you have a clean audit report, but it's the element of the emphasis of matter. So that the team that came up with this robust manual. Forward, it is important that we encourage those that are charged with public funds.
Pige makofi. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I believe we've been enriched from every speaker that came. One speaker after the other, we have picked something, even as we progress with the program. Allow me to guide very briefly before I invite on stage the next speaker, that now we are moving closer to the moment of the day. And we'll remain seated until when you're asked to rise. And the second bit will move until we go to the official launch of our policy and procedure manual. I want, as I stand here, to appreciate the leadership of ORPP for this milestone and many other milestones that we have achieved as an office. And as CPA Okal has put it, sometimes it's very easy to generate and develop documents, but implementing those documents become the biggest challenge. I want to assure us that most of the documents, if not all, and I believe all, our documents as an office have been need-informed that we start with the need, and as we are struggling, we develop a document that will streamline the intervention, standardize the intervention, and form a basis even for capacity building and sustainability in that area. Documents that we have developed as an office, we have actually put into implementation and practice with immediate effect. That is my guarantee. And of course, doing all that is determined by the leadership. We have 2 assistant registrars, Mr. Ali and yours truly, CPA. There are 2. And the secret I will tell you that you work together is when you work in harmony. You might differ, you might have different opinions and positions, but at the end of the day, you agree. Very proud and very lucky to have not only a boss, not only a leader, but a mentor, you know, as an SIG, and I believe I am going far. When you have a mentor who's going far, you are also going very far. I am a CPA. I am looking forward to PESA. And now I want to bring on stage my boss, a lady that I cherish, I celebrate the country, and this lady is none other than the CEO and the Registrar of Political Parties. Let us be applause with a warm clap to our Registrar, Madam Dr.
I think we can also clap for her. She's